Hello, Fraxon Healthcare patients. I'm Dr. Fraxon, and today we are going to do our first video in our Aging Well series. This video is to go with the webinar that came out a couple months ago. This first video is going to focus on morning routine, getting the joints and muscles in the body ready for the day. Okay. Now, before we get to the actual routine, I want to go through first what we're going to be trying to accomplish with that routine using some of the models that we've got right here. So when we take a look at the spine, we can see that parts of the spine are designed to move a little more than other parts of the spine. If you've been in the office, you'll have heard me talk about this, that hips are ball and socket joints, as are shoulder joints. They need to move a lot. So part of our morning routine is going to be focusing on getting those joints moving in every way they can. Other parts of the spine, like the lower back, they don't move too much, so we won't be doing too much with those. Lower rib cage, however, moves quite a bit. It rotates, it side bends, and it flexes and extends forward and backwards. It needs to move a lot. But the upper back, because of the rib cage, doesn't move quite as much. So as we go through each of these different parts of the spine, we'll focus on which actions each of those areas can do and make sure that we cover those in our morning routine. So the first part of the routine is to get our shoulder blades to sit back and down. Now again, if you've been in the office, this is an exercise you've seen me do a number of times. You start by putting your arms at your side, turning your thumbs over, pulling the shoulders back and down. In the beginning, I have people do both arms at the same time, maybe watching in a mirror to make sure that your shoulders are going down equally. After you've done 10 of these, I want you to do one arm at a time. Do they feel the same? Do you feel like one arm is working a little easier or harder than the other? And watch in the mirror again, make sure that they're going down equally. Okay? Once you've done that, the next part of our morning routine is to get our hands and wrists to be able to extend. So we start off trying to get the wrists to go all the way back like this. The reason why we do this is that Dupuytren's, or a flexure contracture of our fingers, is a really common thing that people get as they get older, and starting off your morning doing this really helps to keep that from being a problem. Thumbs are our next focus. We want to take the thumbs, looks like you're twiddling your thumbs, but you're doing it first forwards, then you're going to do it backwards about 5 times each, and then the idea is to take the thumbs to each of the fingers in turn. Make sure that you've got all that control, that one side doesn't feel easier or harder than the other, okay? The next thing I do is we want to create a little bit of pressure with our thumbs. I'm trying to use the thumbs to create back pressure as I push left and right, and then we're going to hook the thumbs so that I'm trying to push the thumbs from the inside, and again we do that 5 times each. And then the last thing is we're going to push down from the top of the thumb, trying to resist as we do that, creating our own internal pressure, and again about 5 times each. Okay. Next, we're going to focus on the ball and socket of the shoulders. We're going to put our arms out to the sides. We don't want them straight up. We want them down on a bit of an angle. As we first do this, we want to pull our shoulder blades together and then just start moving the arms first in, backward circles, starting with small circles, letting those circles get bigger. And once they get up to about 10 repetitions, then we want to do one arm at a time, okay? And so as we do that one arm, we're trying to hold the shoulder blade as stiff as we can, just trying to move the ball in the socket without the whole blade moving too much. Then we're going to do our forward rolls, again starting with small circles, letting those circles get a little bit bigger as we continue up to about a count of 10. Once we get up to about 10, then we want to do one arm at a time. Again, trying to make sure that just the ball moves and try to keep that shoulder blade as stiff as we can. Once we've done about 3 each side, you're then going to take your arm across the front. That's going to stretch out these muscles in the back, our infraspinatus and our teres minor muscles. Then the idea is to put the arm up overhead and try to pull and stretch out those tricep muscles on both sides. Okay. Once we've done that, arms back down to the side, and now we shift down to the hips. Okay, we're going to start off trying to get the hips to move side to side. So we're running our arm down the side of the leg, nice and gentle to begin with. We don't have to reach all the way to begin with. And as we're doing this, we're also letting the head tip to the side as well. And as we go back and forth, usually about 5 in each direction is fairly sufficient. Once we get done that, now we're going to go into hip rotations. So we're trying to do what I sometimes in the office call a slow hula hoop. We want to go counterclockwise and clockwise. About 5 in each direction usually works pretty good. If one side feels a little harder or easier than the other, you may want to spend a bit more time on the one that needs a bit more work. From there, we're going to go into squats. Now, we don't want to go too deep to begin with. It's usually first thing in the morning. We don't want to do a real deep squat. And the idea is just to get the muscles in the bum firing and get the hips moving while we're trying to keep the back neutral as possible, okay? I'm going to show you this one from the side angle. So as I turn to the side, what we want to do is keep the knees from going too far forward. So as we go down, the hands as counterweight is usually a pretty good idea. We don't go too low with the first ones. Nice and easy, trying to make sure that we're moving just from the hips. Sometimes a bit of outward pressure on your feet helps to keep this nice and symmetrical. As you're coming up, you want to squeeze the glutes. Okay. Normally, I do about 10 of these to start off my day. So let's say that we've done our 10. Once we get up into our 10, the idea now is to get full range to our knees. So pulling the heel towards the bum, get our full range to our knees. Now we want to get our calves to engage. So we do a little bit of a light jump on our heels, and then we bend our knees and do that again, okay? And that's going to get those muscles working as well. One of my favorite exercises on our site currently is our hamstring stretch. We dig in the heel, stick the bum out to get the hamstring to stretch. And it's a bit of an oscillating stretch, so we go back and forth for this. We don't want to hold it too long. Usually about 5 is sufficient, and we got to make sure we do both legs. Okay. Once we've done our full hamstring stretch, then we want to get some rotation, like I was mentioning before, in that lower rib cage as well as in the neck. So standing up fairly straight, using your hand to push a little bit on the cheekbone, we want to passively turn the head and body as far as we can aroundward. So this is getting rotation in our lower rib cage and in our neck and in our hips and even our ankles a little bit. So after you've done 5 each side, then the very last exercise we want to do is we want to get more range in our neck. So we're going to bring our chin all the way down to the chest, bring it all the way back, making sure that we're holding our shoulders down, chin tight down again, and all the way back. And again, about 5 times each is sufficient. And that's our morning routine.